before we talk about the success of the Elizabeth line. Are you completely comfortable with the investigation that the Metropolitan Police has done, given the pictures that are all over the front pages today?
Well, it's really important I explain to you your views. I've been assiduous as the Police and Crime Commissioner, who is a Labour politician, not to get involved at all in an investigation from the Met Police into a political opponent. It's right and proper that there's operational independence. But I think the reality is, when we police by consent, when we need the confidence of the public when it comes to policing issues, when questions are being asked about police investigation and its integrity, that the police explain some of the conclusions they've reached. I think it's right and proper they do so. Yes, of course, there are big questions about whether the Prime Minister misled the House. There clearly was a party. He was raising his glass. There were empty wine bottles there. Sue Gray will be publishing a report later on this week. But I think the police should be explaining how they reached their conclusions. That's the right thing for them to do.
How surprised are you that he wasn't fined for that event?
Well, look, I don't want to get into what's happened. All I've seen is a photo yesterday for the first time. And as a normal citizen, forget as a Police and Crime Commissioner, it did beg a number of questions. That's why I think it's important, because many people across the country will be having similar questions, that the Met Police explain how they reached their conclusions. They may have seen other evidence. It's for them to explain so. And the reason why it's important is because we police by consent. We need to have confidence in our police. The police must police and investigate without fear or favour. But I know from reading the newspapers today, from watching Sky News this morning, from speaking to Londoners, there are many questions they have, including to Boris Johnson, to explain how you can be raising a glass, having empty booze lying around, and it not be a party, and at the same time, weeks later, tell the House of Commons there wasn't a party.
Yeah, we'll move on to Crossrail in 1 second. Just a final point on that, though, if I may. I mean, rule-breaking, law-breaking in your city. Should the Met come to explain to you, as the Mayor of London, why there haven't been more fines in Downing Street?
Well, so more than 120 fixed penalty notices, fines have been issued by the police into Downing Street parties. No other address, as I understand it, in the country has had so much law-breaking over the recent past. I am asking the Met Police to provide the urgent clarity. I think they've got to provide, not simply because you're asking the question, but people across the country, not unreasonably, will be saying, hold on a second, I followed all the rules. I was meticulous in relation to following the rules. Those that broke the rules were fined. And here we have a photograph which looks like the Prime Minister caught red-handed breaking the rules. Some would call it a smoking gun. So the police should explain how it is that more fines weren't issued. That being said, it's really important I make this point again and again. I've not been involved in this investigation. There's been independence. It's improper for me as a political opponent to be telling or advising or instructing the police what to do. But I think there are legitimate questions people are asking, which is why I'm asking the police to provide the clarity.
OK. Talk to me about the Elizabeth line. It's been a long time coming.
Well, listen, the first plans for this particular line were talked about in the 1940s, before Sky News first went on air. The first bill, aborted attempt at 1991. I remember Ken Livingstone, the first mayor, lobbying for this, and I give credit to Tony Blair and Gordon Brown for giving the green light. The first bill went through Parliament when I first became an MP, 2005. Royal Assent, 2008. When I was a Transport Minister in 2009, the first construction began in Canary Wharf. And last week, Her Majesty the Queen formally opened this line named after her in this Platinum Jubilee year. It's a remarkable, transformative railway line. It's a landmark moment for our city. It will contribute £42 billion towards our nation's economy. The trains are built in Derby, the doors for the stations in Cheshire, the signage in the Isle of Wight, the steel from Dorset. More than 70,000 jobs already created around the country. I'm proud as the Mayor, but also as a Brit.
But there's a bit of an issue. It's 73 miles long, which is it goes from Essex, I believe, to Berkshire. But there's some problems with construction at Bond Street. Is that right? So you can't actually travel the whole line in one go until next year.
So this new line today is more than 100 kilometres from Reading in Berkshire to Shenfield in Essex. At the moment, you've got to just jump off the train and get on another train at Paddington and then at Liverpool Street. And that was always a plan. But the good news is, rather than waiting a year, as was the original plan, before that to be fully integrated, it will happen this autumn. As it is in London, often you've got to change from one line to the other. So the DLR, you clock in, clock out. The same goes for the Waterloo and City line. Nothing new there, except what is new is these trains are air-conditioned. You can walk through. The stations are like cathedrals. I'm here at Farringdon, where you've got a sideways lift going down. So look, let's enjoy these 100 kilometres from the west in Reading to the east in Essex and be proud of this fantastic engineering feat.
Sounds amazing. Looking forward to travelling on it, Mr. Mayor. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.